Sam, how you doing today?
I'm all right. Nice sunny Saturday. You getting blinded today again or not?
Oh, God, I didn't even think about that. I can see the sun approaching the window now.
Slowly.
Andrew's on holiday this week. I'm going to have to bring him in. You're going to have to cancel that. We'll be grand. Let's take a look at the headlines. Tony Khan has dropped some major hints on the new Hall of Fame-worthy AEW signing. WWE are reportedly fining talent for thigh slapping. And a top New Japan wrestler is said to be working hurt. We'll tell you more in a bit. So it's the story that everybody is talking about. I can't remember this much buzz for something happening in wrestling for a long, long while now.
Yeah, the hype train has just been really carefully stocked, really carefully cleaned and polished up, all nice, and we're all just stood waiting to get on board. I don't. Yeah, as you said, I don't know the last time I was this excited. I'm
loving it. Me too. I'm really enjoying the speculation, and I just hope it's not underwhelming. You know, I don't think it will be. It would be very harmful to the brand. What
are you on about? When it feed me more hits, it's gonna go.
Don't even. Right, so Tony Khan has been dropping some hints on who this new Hall of Fame-worthy AEW signing may be, appearing on Busted Open Radio. And he's narrowed it down a bit. Well, quite a lot in the grand scheme of things, I guess. He says, it's a wrestler, first of all. Yes, it's one of my all-time favourite wrestlers. I'm very excited about this. I'm very fired up. And he went on to say, I tipped this on AEW Unrestricted, the gender is a male. So we now know that it's not Mauro. And there are a few other people that were being mentioned that it can no longer be because they are not wrestlers.
Yeah.
And we know it's a man.
Yeah. That narrows it down to such a small amount of people in the wrestling industry.
And Hall of Fame worthy, we already knew that. Yeah. My money's still on Kurt here, you know.
Kurt is, as I said, it's just been too much too soon with, all of the... I wasn't very happy about the retirement and all that started peppering in. And
he's doing the podcast with Conrad,
who then popped up in AEW, and it's just, ooh.
But who's the co-host of this particular show that Tony Khan was on?
It's Big Mark Henry, isn't it?
Imagine they're working us, aren't they? Having a little giggle. They're chatting back and forth, and Mark knows it's him all along. What if it's Mark Henry?
He actually said to him, where was it? He said, gender is male, as you said, narrow it down. He's coming and he's going to do great things. And he told Mark Henry that he will personally be very excited about the news.
Yeah, we're going to have all these great matches. We'll have the big news coming out of the show. Mark, I know you'll be very excited. Yeah. It's like wink, wink, no, come on. It could be Mark Henry. I really, honestly, I hope it's not. But this does follow news that Mark Henry wants to wrestle in the next 6 months. So maybe that's the thing. Yeah,
potentially.
Right? Mark himself said that.
Yeah, and he's somebody who has been in and around the industry for so long that he can undoubtedly give back to the younger talent. And I think you could get a year out of Mark Henry with an interesting enough storyline.
Yeah,
sure.
I think that's what Mark Henry needs. He's a guy that the quality of matches that Mark Henry's involved in, generally, it doesn't sell itself. You need a big story. People will be talking about him coming in. Personally, I'd prefer it to be Kurt. Speaking of Kurt Angle was offered 3 different jobs by WWE before being released. So he was among the talent being let go last year in 2020 on Black Wednesday. But Angle revealing a few little bits on the podcast, saying he was being paid more than any other producer, so they were obviously not necessarily desperate to keep him on the books, but they were keen on keeping him on the books. But he said that he was expecting to get the call when he heard WWE was furloughing talent. And I think a big part of that is because he turned down 3 different roles. And those roles were coach in NXT, a job to manage Matt Riddle, ooh, and they offered him a Legends contract. But he didn't want any of those.
It's Legends contract's sort of a bit of a double-edged sword, though, isn't it? Because you're associated with the company, but really you kind of wheeled out every now and then for a Retro Raw. And that's about it. So
and it limits the stuff that you can do outside of wrestling. And I think a big part of that, he mentions because he's his new company, Physically Fit Nutrition, because he's doing that. his time would have been largely taken up there. But as I say, the Legends contracts prohibit you from doing various other things that could be big money makers. It wouldn't impact him doing Physically Fit or anything. But there you go. Going back to the AEW thing, my money is very much on Angle now.
Yeah, I can't wait. I want to know. Is it going to be the top of the show that they announce it? I don't.
No, not top of the show. You're going to have to wait. The top of the show is the tag title match.
Oh, this is going to be so
action,
much
Jericho.
going on.
There's a lot going on. There's also a lot going on in WWE. I'm trying to get good at segues, have you noticed? Who are reportedly fining talent for something that's pretty commonly done. A lot of people get upset about it as well. We are talking about one of those, Sam! One of those! We're talking about arse slapping. No, we're talking about thigh slapping. WWE talent, they're no strangers to fines. You can get fined for blading, unprofessional conduct.
I thought you were going to say they're no strangers to love. You know the rules.
They're no strangers to love. Going too hand with a weapon, swearing, and even lateness, they can all get you fined. But there's a new one. The thigh slap. We've all seen it done. I don't actually tend to notice it. There are some people that are better at it than others. I always notice when Ricochet does it. Ricochet goes up there. It's like, bang! Look at that! Hit my leg! But apparently, Fightful Select backing up the story from Meltzer that the fines are happening, saying that there was a memo, a sign present at WWE events that said, no thigh slapping, and then a memo was sent out in February.
I mean, it's I guess understandable in a way. It's going to be hard because surely it's a part of a lot of wrestlers' training. Like you're trained to, because the whole idea of the thigh slap is to connect and give that noise to make it more believable.
It does sound cool though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's not as nice.
On the flip side of that, it is one of the most commonly known insider techniques, isn't it? Like everybody knows the thigh slap, so it sort of makes sense they'd want to maybe distance it just a little, put it on the cool down for a bit.
Yeah, it's a weird one because I remember me and my mates went to a WCPW show, one that I wasn't actually like. No, I was on the show. Sorry, they came along anyway. It was the London WCPW show, and I went and asked them afterwards what they thought of it, and they went, why? I'm not going to name him, but why did that guy keep slapping his leg really hard? To explain it to them. And I always wonder if, like, casual fans or people unfamiliar with wrestling pick up on that stuff. But apparently they do. So maybe that's something to do with it, just because it sort of maybe takes you out of the moment.
Yeah, I wish I'd known this before this week's SmackDown. I would have been just sat like this with a little notepad, getting ready to email.
I'm trying to think if I've seen any of
Titan
it.
Towers.
I'm sure I saw it the other day on Raw. Anyway, moving on once again. A top New Japan Pro Wrestling star is working hurt, according to Dave Meltzer in this week's Wrestling Observer. Okada, it's a big boy, is working hurt. And what an injury to be suffering. Right, the quote is, the reason Kazuchika Okada has been largely kept out of the title and main event scene and worked more basic in his matches the last months is that he's working with 2 slipped discs in his lower back. Jesus Christ. It's legitimately crippling, which is why he takes it easy when he's in prelims, but when he's in a main event, he still delivers, like the match with Evil this past week. So, backstage, he's hurting bad. What the hell? Why the hell is he wrestling?
I don't know, and it's one of those things that over time we've seen it before. You know, we've seen it with Dynamite Kid. We've seen it with in lots of situations where a stronger, tougher style leads to obviously more real life injuries, which leads to very severe situations such as this. If you're the top guy and you're in the middle of something and it all starts to, fall apart and you end up with these injuries, you can't just be pulled out of it in a storyline sense, but really he should be. I don't.
Yeah, because he won't be able to
his safety has to come first. That's the.
Of course it does.
Yeah, it's
absolutely
ridiculous.
So we wish him well, obviously.
Yeah.
But that sounds pretty serious, and I can't believe he's wrestling, especially the style that he does. Finally, we're going to finish on the lighter side of the news. Vince McMahon's jacket is sold for $45 at a Florida thrift store.
Yeah.
And Sam's here with all the details.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're going to flash up a picture now. There you go. Oh, look at it.
Beautiful.
Look at it. So the guy who's wearing it's apparently like 185 pounds, and he's no slouch either, and the jacket makes him look like a child, he said in one of his Reddit posts.
Not talking about Vince McMahon. Talking
about the guy who bought it.
He got a bargain. Bloody hell.
Yeah, but for $45 in a thrift store, he found a jacket that was used on a 2019 episode of, I believe, Raw. It's got Vince's measurements. It's got his customer number and a load of other details and stuff. It's got a monogrammed exclusively for VKM patch. And according to another Reddit user who could understand the measurements that are on the tag, Vince, at the age of 75 years old, has a 54-inch chest, which is just...
That's big, that's sizable.
And that's not Vince being an overweight, old guy. That's Vince being hench.
Oh, he's jacked. Yeah,
just
he's
hench.
Absolutely jacked. I want to say it's an interesting story. It's not that interesting.
I'm sorry. I'll get better at compiling the news in future.
I'm joking. What is interesting is, right, $45 he's paid for that.
Yeah.
That's Vince McMahon, ring worn, event worn, whatever you want to call it. Stuff like that I see on eBay selling all the time for thousands. That guy's in for a tiny little profit there. And we now know that Vince McMahon is a big hench bastard. As if we didn't already. There you go. That's the story of the day. Sam, see you in a couple of hours for another one.
Catch you in a bit.